G'day and welcome to ReDriven, and welcome back to this series. And this week we're focusing on SUVs under $5,000, but we're going to be focusing on the small ones. We're going to do medium and large ones next week. Now, before we get into this episode, if you want to know what the ground rules are and what these cars have to achieve to be included in this list, you should probably go and check out part 1 of this series because we explain all of that there. The link is just up here and also down there somewhere. Now, with this particular episode, we've tried to give you guys a bit of a range of different SUVs to choose from. Everything from soft rotors through to SUVs that can actually SUVs, and even in terms of size, yes, they're all smaller SUVs, but some are a little bit larger than others. Anyway, kicking things off, it's the Daihatsu Terios. Okay, yes, these are pretty rare in general, let alone in good condition and with minimal kilometres on them and for under $5,000. But with some hunting, they are out there. The Terios that we're talking about here is the seemingly toaster-inspired 1997 to 2005 first generation. At this price point, you're going to be choosing between higher kilometre and slightly worn examples of later models, or lower kilometre, better condition, but older examples. But we'd be going for the best condition, lowest possible kilometres, older model Terios that you can find, and just make sure that it has a solid service history, rather than a newer model with loads of mileage on it and in questionable condition. Actually, ideally, finding the best possible post-October 2000 example is the pick, as the Terios received a major upgrade around this time, updating the mechanicals and the equipment. In terms of negatives, with its tall, narrow body, the Terios could be a bit of a rollover risk if any evasive manoeuvres are required, and they aren't exactly the safest small SUV out there in general. Actually, to be honest, these sit very high on the list of cars we would rather not be in if there were to be a crash. But in terms of the positives, these things are just rugged little nuggets of machines. Daihatsu, thanks to being a subsidiary of Toyota, have a great reputation for reliability. They are simple little cars to work on. Their running costs will be at the far more affordable end of the spectrum, and they are just genuinely hilarious to drive, both on-road and off, although they can be downright terrifying at freeway speeds. Now, if you are looking at one, or really any used car at all, just make sure you watch our Ultimate Used Car Buyer's Guide video first. The link is up here and it's also in the description, and guys, please watch it first because you could save yourself thousands. Next up, we move into something that is far more soft roader. It's the Hyundai Tucson. Okay, at this budget, we're talking the first generation 2004 to 2007 Tucson, and specifically the front-wheel drive 4-cylinder examples. Okay, yes, the Tucson was available with 4-wheel drive and a petrol V6, but these V6s, they do have a few question marks hovering over them in terms of reliability, and despite the extra power from the 6-cylinder engine, the extra weight and complexity of the all-wheel drive system results in no more firepower, and if anything, it just increases the running costs and the fuel consumption. And let's be honest, if you're looking at Tucsons, you don't really need a 4-wheel drive, do you? But if you are looking at Tucsons at this budget, chances are you most likely need decent practicality, a solid and relatively comfortable interior, decent levels of safety and equipment, and dependable reliability. And the Tucson should deliver on these needs. Plus, remember, these were built at a time when Hyundai were determined to prove themselves as a serious player in the automotive world, and they were doing their best to shake off their previous reputation of just making, honestly, pretty shit cars. In saying that, but the Tucson's driving experience isn't all that inspiring, and it does have looks that only a mother, or maybe those with a sight impairment, could love. But for a no-nonsense workhorse of an SUV, a Tucson will get the job done. Just make sure that it has a solid service history and a clean record, as there have been a few little electrical niggles that should have been sorted out by now. Okay, in third place, and this might be a little bit controversial, it's the Holden or Chevrolet Cruze, but it's not that piece of shit one that you're thinking of. With a name that's reputation has been destroyed by what is arguably one of the worst cars that you can buy today, the Cruze we're talking about is the 2002 to 2006 model that for all intents and purposes is a Suzuki Ignis wearing a slightly different outfit. Underneath the Australian engineered and designed body panels and behind the revamped interior lies the same platform, engine, transmissions, electronics, suspension and brakes as the Ignis. And what's even better is that these were made in Japan by Suzuki, so reliability and longevity should be top notch. Then you have the fact that, well, at least in terms of the local ones here, the ride and handling was tuned by Australians for Australian conditions, so it's even super enjoyable to drive. Plus, in full drive form and with its tiny size and light weight, it's actually pretty bloody capable on the rough stuff. Actually, I remember seeing one of these hammering around the sand dunes and the beach at Stockton, just over there, and I remember thinking, How's that even possible? But clearly, it was. Now, many of you might be concerned that with the demise of Holden, accessing parts and support could be a drama, but remember, this isn't really a Holden, it's a Suzuki, and Suzuki are going from strength to strength, so if something were to go wrong, sorting it out shouldn't be a problem. Okay, next up, it's the car that we're assuming you guys thought would definitely take out first place here, but you know what? You're wrong. In second place, it's the Toyota RAV4. See, the problem with the RAV4 at this up to $5,000 price point is that the dreaded Toyota tax really starts to hurt. While we normally recommend going for a second generation 2001 to 2005 RAV4, even the lowest kilometre examples of these at this price point will still have well north of 230,000 kilometres on them. And look, yes, we are talking Toyotas here, so with a service history, that's no big deal, as there are plenty of 350,000 kilometre plus RAV4s still going strong. But still, other cars on this list will offer similar levels of practicality, safety, and equivalent driving experience, and quite possibly the same reliability and running costs, but will have travelled many thousands of kilometres less and for the same asking price. However, if you're happy to take a bit more of a risk in terms of safety, relish in a more tactile and raw driving experience, and appreciate 90s aesthetics, the first generation 1995 to 2000 RAV4s are worth a look. Now, good ones of these are bloody hard to find, let alone any with low kilometres on them, let alone in the incredibly cool three-door form, but they do pop up from time to time. Actually, if anyone out there has a three-door RAV4 in great condition, can you let us know in the comments, because we would love to feature one, and I'd maybe love to buy one. Now, before we get to the top spot, for us to keep making these videos, we can only do it with your support, and the best way to support us is simply by hitting those like and subscribe buttons and sharing our content as much as you can. Honestly, that would help us out so much. Oh, also, if you want to be notified for next week's list, hit that bell icon as well. Okay, taking out this list, it's the Honda CR-V. Like the RAV4, you're going to have the choice between the first generation 1997 to 2001 or second generation 2002 to 2006 CR-Vs. But we'd be going for the best possible condition, lowest kilometre second gen that you can find. Also, make sure it's the 2.4 litre and do not buy the diesel. The 2.4 litre K24 engine in the CR-V is widely regarded as one of the world's truly superb power plants, and even with minimal maintenance is showing incredible reliability. But then so is the entire CR-V in general. So even though many CR-Vs at this price point will have travelled well over 200,000 kilometres, with regular maintenance, their longevity shouldn't be a concern. But beyond the reliability, the CR-V is a genuinely enjoyable car to drive. It has excellent levels of safety for its age, it's got superb practicality, a well-appointed interior, and the running costs certainly won't send you bankrupt. And also, like the RAV4, if you're happy to deal with the idiosyncrasies and the lack of safety features and creature comforts that feature so heavily in cars from the 1990s, the first generation CR-V is also worth a look. But look, with any of the cars on this list, or really any used car, especially at this price point, please make sure that you watch our used car buyer's guide before you commit to whatever car it is that you're looking at. Honestly, guys, it could save you thousands. You should probably have a great reputation for. These were built at a time when Hyundai were determined to prove Except it's the SUV. Certainly should. A well-appointed interior. Features and creature comforts that. Take a breath, dickhead. So reliability and longevity. What is that? A low-flying plane. Ruining the take. Bastards. It's good until then. Come on. Now, next week, as I mentioned earlier, we're moving up to the medium to larger SUVs category within this top 5 first cars under $5,000 series. And we want to know, what SUVs do you guys think should make the list? Let us know in the comments. We'll see you next week. See ya.